Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday Wisdom. This time we move into Proverbs chapter 23. Beginning in verse 4, the Bible says, "Do not weary yourself to gain wealth. Cease from your consideration of it. When you set your eyes on it, it's gone. For wealth certainly makes itself wings like an eagle that flies toward the heavens." Now, Solomon is not saying do not provide for your family. He's saying don't weary yourself for wealth. Remember a story I heard many, many years ago about the CEO of a huge company. And somebody was interviewing him about all of his time and his investment and sacrifice to make that company great. And finally, in the course of the interview, they asked him, was it worth the price? And he said no, because I lost my wife and I lost my family in the process. Maybe that's exactly why Solomon is saying that. Wealth can be gone so quickly. It can vanish away. Perhaps that's why Jesus told us to lay up our treasures in heaven, because people can't steal them, they can't go away, they're reserved there waiting for us. And so there are things that are much more important in life than being the richest person on the block. And people need to concentrate on the importance of husband and wife relationships, of family relationships, of Christian relationships. Now, the first part of verse 7 is quite interesting. For as he thinks within himself, so is he. I am told there is an awful lot of truth in this statement. It's not just a spiritual statement. Determination, mind made up. This is the goal. People can accomplish many, many things, but first, they have to believe that they can. You know, when I had athletes in track, especially in high jump, I would tell them, visualize yourself clearing the bar. When Dawn was running hurdles, I would always encourage her, visualize yourself clearing each one of those hurdles and finishing your race. We need to visualize ourselves as daily living a Christian life. Now, notice how I said that. Daily living a Christian life. Now, if we daily live a Christian life, we're going to live it all the way to the time that death overtakes us. But it's not as monstrous sounding if we talk about it each day. Today, I'm going to live for God. Then tomorrow comes along. I'm going to live for God. And so on. So we have to think and believe that we can do it. Of course, Paul tells us, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And Jesus definitely wants us to be successful in living the Christian life. Now, something we started in the last chapter, verse 13, do not hold back discipline from the child. We are living in an age with a bunch of undisciplined children, and it is going to come back and haunt us tremendously. Some of the awful results are already being seen in society. Children don't come into this world already trained. That's what parents are for, to train them, to point them, to prepare them for life. And sadly, far too many parents in this country have advocated that place in life And they're no longer trying to train their children and direct them and teach them how to be respectful and how to be conscientious and how to do so many things. And as I say, this society is honestly being haunted by that. Verse 17, really important. Do not let your heart envy sinners, but live in the fear of the Lord always. Let's look at the last part, fear of the Lord. That's one of our themes in the book of Proverbs. We are to reverence and respect God, not reverence and respect evil, sinful people. They don't need to be our role models. You know, quite honestly, God provided us with the greatest role model with which human beings could ever be provided. He provided us with Jesus Christ. There is no greater role model than that of Jesus. Maybe that's why the Hebrew writer told us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, we keep our eye on him. We try to be like him. Not like sinners, not like people in rebellion against God. They're not worthy of the Christian's emulation. Don't envy those people, no matter what they may appear to have. Realize one day, just like you, they're going to give an account to God. And if their life is not right in the sight of God, they're going to be lost. Are you going to envy them enough to follow them and to be lost with them? That's why Solomon is telling us, do not envy sinners. We don't want to be like them. You and I, going back to our point, thinking within himself, we need to want to think like Jesus. What Paul said in Philippians chapter 2, let us have the same mind that Christ had. And he knew he could get the job done for God. And in him, you and I can get the job done for God as well. And we need to be thinking that way. We need to transform our minds, renew our thinking. We don't want to be like the world. We want to be like Christ. That's what being a Christian is about. That's what's important to the Christian. That's what's important to God regarding the Christian. And I'm not going to read all of these verses, but beginning with verse 21 and then jumping down to verse 29, for the heavy drinker and the glutton will come to poverty, and drowsiness will clothe one with rags. And then beginning in verse 29, Solomon actually describes a drunk person and what happens to them. What is he warning us here of? Stay away from it. Why? Because very simply, summarizing 29 through 35, Solomon is saying, when you're drunken, you've lost control. You're out of control. Things can happen to you. You don't even know why they happen. People under the influence do all kinds of crazy things, sometimes evil things, mean things. Alcohol changes people's demeanor, and it's something that is harmful. No good has ever come out of being drunk. And so Solomon is telling us, don't do that. Don't get involved in that. Now, the drinking of alcohol in the ancient world was a very, very big thing. Drunkenness, gluttony were very, very common, even into the Roman times in the New Testament age. But because lots of people did it, still doesn't make it right. And so as followers of Christ, we don't want this in our lives. We don't want alcohol to take us over and dominate us. And by verses 29 through 35, it very much can. So, let's think within ourselves, I want to be just a Christian. I want to be just like Christ.